Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin from Florals.com and I have another episode of card making for scrapbookers with Sara Scraps, and this month we are focusing on ribbon. So I pulled out a couple things I wanted to work with. I pulled out those ribbon sets. You can find those at like Michael's or Joann's or your local craft store. And I have a couple of those, and I thought since these all coordinated it'd be perfect to go with this card. Now I've had this idea for a while, so I'm glad I finally made a tutorial on it, and it's a really easy way to sort of give your cards a pop of texture and color and just have fun with it. So I'm using this black and white paper pad, which is from Color Me Happy, or maybe that's the title of the paper pad, from Pattern Happy. And I decided to go with this heart one. Now it's sort of Valentine's Day themed, but it's also just, you know, an everyday card with a red theme. And I pulled out my 2-inch circle punch, and then I pulled out these stickers. I believe these are Amitan stickers. I'm not sure which collection they were from. And I wanted to use this sentiment that said hugs, and I wanted to use that in the middle. So there's tons of ways to do this card. I'm just going to show you guys the way I did it. So I wanted 2 punches out of this background paper so I could have the ribbon peeking through. And I know it sounds a little harder, but it's really not that difficult to do. So you guys might want to try this on your scrapbooking pages or somewhere else. And if you guys haven't already checked out Sara's beautiful card, definitely go over and check it out. If you love texture, you're going to love her card. She uses ribbon in a fun way as well. And it's great if you have those older style ribbons. Remember we used to get ribbons in like yardage? Hers are sort of like that style of ribbon. So I cut out 2 of those 2-inch circles. I punched them out, and then I'm saving the punched out pieces. Now I'm going to use those as my coverage for those blank spots. That way I know I'm getting the exact amount that I need for my openings. So essentially these will lay beneath that pattern paper so you can see the ribbon peeking through on the front of the card. So since these are the perfect size, I put glue all over them, and I'm going to plan on covering them with ribbon. And again, some of these are like laces and cords, but I did use some ribbon, but this would be very easy to do with a bunch of different colored ribbons. This could also be done with washi tape or those branding strips. I've seen this done on some other shapes before. I've seen people do it with hearts on layouts before, but I thought the circles would be easier since I can get a nice clean punch that way. And what I'm going to do is just keep laying them down and then cutting them and trimming them. So I'm using cutter bee scissors today. These aren't my normal ribbon scissors. These are supposed to be meant for detail cutting paper. I was just, you know, low on supplies here at my new apartment, and I'm just using what I can work with. So that's why I have that. And I did try to mix up the patterns on these. I tried to do some different variations. That way they didn't look exactly the same when they're on the card. And I used up, I think, one of each of these, except there's one pattern of like a ribbon on there that's like a link sort of style, so there'd be a lot of gaps in it. I didn't mind using the one lace because the gaps are so small that the adhesive behind that might not matter. But I do think that the ATG adhesive works very well. You could also use, there are ribbon tapes out there in case you're interested in using those, but I decided to go with mostly red and white for this card. So it's a monochromatic card, which is always fun. And I think having that large sentiment there that we pulled out, the hugs, will be really bold on the front. Let me know if you guys have ever tried this technique before. I don't think I ever have. I've done similar things with punch outs, but not exactly this kind of look. And you can see that I'm not exactly cutting them to the circle size. I'll do that afterwards, but you can do that during if you wish. And again, I'm using some of that white rickrack. Who saws rickrack? It'd be fun to do a whole one on rickrack too. I just happen to have this one with me. And then I go back to the reds and I pull out another one. And it's just so pretty. Ribbon's just something that we collect very easily, and we don't think to use in larger quantities. So this is an easy way to get a lot down in a small spot if you guys are trying to use up your ribbon. We're always trying to use up things, but don't forget about your ribbon too, people. It has feelings too. So I'm going to finish off these circles, and then I'm going to trim them down. And I did try to keep this in a realer time of process, because I know some of you said my last card was a little bit too fast. Again, trying to please everyone's difficult, so bear with me if one's too fast and one's too slow for you. I try to accommodate by switching on and off fast and slow, or faster and slower. That way there's people who can enjoy both and, you know, get the most out of them. And there's always the option of speeding up the process video. That's a setting you can do if you're watching it on at least a laptop. I'm not sure if it's available on mobile, but you can always speed up the video. The audio will speed up as well, in case you guys are interested. So you kind of get a gist of how it will look there when I put the template over it. And I'm going to trim these down again because the edges of the card are in the way, but if you had a centered cutout, if you used a die cut or something to cut out the center of a card, you might not need to trim these down as much as I did, but that is something you probably want to do. And just make sure your adhesive is at the ends as well, because your ribbon can fray. I know that there are, I think, glues that are meant to put on the ends of ribbons so they don't fray, so maybe you want to look into something like that. That could be fairly useful. But once those are trimmed down, we'll start assembling our card. Again, it won't take much longer after this. I kept it very simple. I didn't want anything too exotic or extreme because I wanted the ribbon to shine through a lot. So I'm taking my card base and the cutout piece, and I'm going to trace the circles with a pencil so I know where to paste the circles that I have covered in ribbon. That way they fit nicely. And I'm just making some darker lines around the four corners, well, I made corners of these circles, that way I knew where to place them. And then just some simple adhesive on the back, and that will put that together. Now, if you are wondering how I'm going to attach the front panel there, the one with the punched out circles, we're going to use some foam adhesive. If you are lucky enough to have tools that can cut through fun foam, I would recommend doing a full sheet of fun foam that's cut out like that. You know, cut to your exact shape would be nice. But if you're having, if you don't have those tools, like my punch won't cut through fun foam that easily, you can definitely just use some foam squares like I am. And I do liberally put these on. I think it's important to do that so that it doesn't get hurt in the mail or squashed over time. So I place foam squares all over the back of this and then peel off the adhesive release strips, and then I place it down. Now it's not exact, there are a little bit of a misalignment, but you can always trim it down later. The edge of the card doesn't really match up, and the sentiment I again wanted across the middle here, and it does float a little bit, so I'm not sure if I'm going to go back and add some foam underneath those, but essentially it's going to lay there, and it's going to look so cute. And I'm sure anyone would love to receive this card. Here's some close-ups. Let me know what you guys think of this idea, and let me know if you guys have seen Sarah's video, and definitely check it out if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.